Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
Okay, so welcome everybody. We start today a very special week. It will be the last one of this period of more than 4 months without interruption in our daily meetings, at least during the weekdays. And we will dedicate this week to both think about what we have done and what we will do in the next period, and also we will approach the national recovery plans. That is a key aspect of our next future. So today we will dedicate the session to review our activities, generally speaking. Tomorrow we will review concretely the disruptions that we have been detecting and the solutions that a lot of experts, hundreds of experts have suggested for those disruptions. On Wednesday, we will have a special session for cosmetics. And Thursday and Friday, we will speak about some examples of how cluster can be integrated in the national recovery plans. So you are invited to all those sessions, but without further delay, we will start today's one. It will be dedicated, as I said, to the overview of our activities, and Ilaria Massari, that is the general manager of REI, Reindustria Innovazione, and is at managing the team that is documenting all the work that we have been doing during those past months. Ilaria will explain you her vision, her knowledge, and how she forecasts also the next future. Ilaria, welcome. I don't see you. Are you there, Ilaria? No. She must be having some problems. Okay, I can start myself if not, and we will wait for Ilaria. Okay. We started meeting on March, ending March. Hello, Ilaria, I see that you are there. Welcome. Buongiorno, Ilaria.
Buongiorno, good morning. I'm here, thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Should I give you the presentation rights?
Yes, thank you.
So please go on, Ilaria.
Sorry, Antonio, I can. Okay, perfect. So do you see my screen?
Yes. Not yet in presentation mode. Could you put?
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Thank you, Antonio. I'm Ilaria Massari, General Manager of a local development agency called REI, Reindustria Innovazione. I will put on my video so you can also see me. I wanted to start this presentation from the starting point. So it all started in the late days of February with the first cases here in Lombardia region, very close to our society, very close to our families. With the health disruption, all the bottlenecks caused by the pandemic and the closure of the borders, the lockdown of the economy of some member states, an out of control situation with substantially not enough medical components where needed, and a growing number of infected people. There has been in that moment a first rapid cluster mobilization primarily from the healthcare clusters, and with the help of the European networks like CEBRA, the Council of European Bioregions, for example. Always during March 2020, the European Clusters Alliance, guided by Antonio Novo, started to facilitate the gatherings and the sharing of information under the initiative named European Alliance Against the Coronavirus, mapping the disruption and the cases of production reconversion, for example, as well as facilitating the match between demand and offer, and the amazing energy from the social economy, even animated through the COVID-19 forum hosted by the ECCP platform that tomorrow Nina Hoffman will illustrate. Afterwards, the idea of a rapid alert function was rising in order to capitalize and to track all the efforts of all the active participants that day by day contributed with high-level insights. The European Rapid Alert Function came up as a tracking system that leverages on the value of cluster networks, and with the aim to detect the disruptions happening through different supply chains, even through the detection of weak signals from the ground, from the practitioners, in order to evidence potential need for public intervention. For example, need of regulation, coordination, and funding needs. The rapid alert function is also a way to, for the policymaker to check the implementation of the actions and identifying bottlenecks. In the meanwhile, the Commissioner Thierry Breton communicated the list of 14 industrial ecosystems as a way to group thematic networks. And in the daily meetings of the European Alliance Against Coronavirus, we started approaching the disruptions in a new way, considering the fundamental interconnections and with the special help of the Professor Athanasios Kostandopoulos and the concept of co-evolving ecosystems, we started approaching the disruption in a new way, considering these fundamental interconnections and interdependence between supply chains, clusters, regional and national systems. So in this context of dramatic shock, as synapses do with neurons, clusters have demonstrated to rapidly facilitate communication of specific selected information where needed, in order to let the system to survive. And as synapses do, clusters facilitated all the actors to work better without taking their role or their power, but helping institutions to be more effective with their policies. I just would like to go back to the idea of the shared leadership. That was basically the need of developing a process, a loop process and a transformational process, a daily process guided by the European Clusters Alliance in order to understand, to go back to the real need and concrete daily life, thinking about and evidencing the bottlenecks and the needs and identifying together solutions in order to start actions and transferring all the good practices all over Europe, getting feedbacks and giving feedbacks with a common approach of cross-sectoral contributions, so cross-regional and multi-level competencies and knowledge. In this process, there was the chance to go deep into all the 14 ecosystems, understanding disruption and weak signals and detecting the problems and the disruptions, identify possible solutions, and in order to transfer all over Europe. We can say that this period has also been a sort of daily gym for all of us in order to understand better between us, but also to build in trust and new networks. So what is the target of the rapid alert function? There is a sort of external dissemination to the cluster world and much further through the ECCP platform. So you see the list of the page of the list of the previous recording. We're talking about 130 sessions with minutes and registration, video registration, and one page for all of this session with all the materials and videos and presentations uploaded, and the COVID-19 response forum. And then a sort of internal vehicle of alert inside the European Commission with weekly full reports of disruptions and other consideration and awareness that coming up the week by week. Keywords of this process has been continuity, tracking, listening, and interacting. This is only an example that it was the Open Innovation Network implemented in 1 month with the help of Dolores Pla and other specialists in the field of plastic materials, advanced material clusters, in order to face the shortage of, for example, masks, ventilator, respirators, and all the medical components that was lacking in that period, and with all the bottleneck of the standardization, certification, and so on. Main disruptions identified in all of these months are more or less 85 disruptions related to the 14 ecosystems. And these, you can find a list for the main categories. So the income reduction and the liquidity, financial problem and capabilities, raw material availability, and the dependence from the extra EU markets for critical materials, workplace security disruption and the PPE shortage, the shortage of critical supply of plastic materials, as we see in the previous, component supply disruption, the skill gap that was actually still already there before the crisis, but you know that this became stronger, especially for digital skills, uncertainty of business models, and the disruption of import-export. Tomorrow you will see illustrated by Luca Patti from our society all analysis of all the 85 disruption. But just let me tell you how we did the disruption, following a certain list of questions, for example, in order to evidence the causes, so why the impact and what industrial ecosystems has been affected by the disruption, the geography, so the location, the stage of the value chain, the character of the disruption, the time frame, so short or mid-term or long-term, and the EU actions needed. So if needed, so if the public intervention is needed, or if clusters environment was able to solve by itself, we can say, or there was the need for public intervention in this case, for example, funding need, but also for regulation of or coordination. What next? What next? We are going to realize the final report of this month that actually gave us the clear view about the impact, so the process building and the network strengthening, the process with the specific property that we have seen, so that is absolutely replicable, scalable, and that is characterized by openness, inclusiveness, and the cross interaction. So the final reports are essential, can be a basis in order to go on and now understand that it's time to scope and to scale. So starting from September, then Antonio will explain better how there will be the chance to involve other European associations in this process, and to enhance the dialogue between the clusters, ward, and all the national and regional authorities in order to, as final aim, we can say for clusters to be recognized as partner. In this case, we can say that being a recognized interlocutor can bring the cluster to be consulted as a regular basis in order to develop better policies. So just let me close with a short overview of the back office, the technical assistance. So the day-by-day working made by a team of 10 people guided with the special guide of Antonio and Nina, that every day meets and develop all the materials and the process with integrated actions and very gym and impactful process. Thank you very much. If you have any question, I'm here. Thank you.
Grazie mille, Ilaria, and your team, because you are doing a wonderful job. I think it's an excellent example of how can we collaborate. I need to say that Ilaria is general manager of a local development agency, but also promoting strongly clustering in your area.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why we are collaborating so closely. Okay.
Absolutely, clusters are really important in our context. So it's really they are essential to make things done, as we say always.
And we will have the opportunity to hear also you on next Wednesday. Okay, is that right? Okay.
Yes, exactly. On Wednesday, there will be a session on the cosmetic value chain. So with the help of Roberto, that is the researcher involved, the coordinator of the Observatory of Sustainable and Digital Beauty. So yes, there will be another Italian session.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I will be very brief. Okay, I want to just reinforce the idea of the shared leadership. I think it's totally key for our success, or also for our activities. Okay, we have been able to integrate in this European Alliance Against Coronavirus many different perspectives from organizations, individuals, enterprises. Everybody has been welcome. I think we can say that it has been very constructive, and we want to continue in that way during the next periods. I want also to say that the participation of the European Commission has been really key for our growth and for our analysis. They have given us support for really being able to manage the information key for the analysis, okay, and to also establish the link with those that are at the core of the decision at the European Commission level, and that is very important. So thank you very much, Ula, that is here with us, and Marek and all Ula's team, but also to all the other participants that come from DG Regio, DG Employment, the GRC, a lot of different institutions, and for sure also thanks to the European Economic and Social Committee that has played a role. It's difficult to explain because they have been working with us very closely, with daily phone calls and taking in account clusters in their papers. And so I want also to, in this session, to say thank you to them, and to encourage next step also in our relationship with them. For the speaking about just general numbers, it's important to say that we have been able to involve more than 1,000 experts. As you know, because you are user of GoToMeeting, we are not requesting every one of you to introduce your name. So there are a lot of anonymous users, okay? What we are expressing here are those that identify themselves. But probably we are speaking about more than 3,000 different experts involved in our session, more than near 6,000 total attendance during those sessions. Okay, it's, I think, a very important number even at the European level, and that is good. That means that we are really activating our ecosystem. For the next period, okay, this is something that I want, we want to discuss with you, not to build only from our side, okay? This is an open group, and so today the discussion will be about that. But the proposal is to dedicate our months of September of October to the analysis of the different industrial ecosystem related to the national recovery plans. And so we will have sessions dedicated to, generally speaking, about how those plans are being designed in the different European cluster members, looking for giving every one of you references on how best could cluster and collaboration be integrated on those plans. That's a key point for us. And we will have three, or the proposal, we could change it, a draft, okay, but the proposal is to have at least 3 sessions to generally speak of those references, but also different sessions dedicated to every industrial ecosystem. And for those sessions, we will invite both authorities from the European Commission or some special member state that are really involved in the development of those different industrial ecosystems and also clusters. So we want to, you know, that we have created some expert groups related to those ecosystems. So we want to encourage those expert groups to participate on the specific sessions and to bring to them their proposals on how to work with those ecosystems and integrate them in the recovery plans. And we also have decided to dedicate one special week, probably the one that is goes through the 7th to the 11th of September, to the smart specialization strategies. And so with Marek, we are starting to organize it, and I think it will be very important because we are going to speak about how cluster can we have integrated our activities with the regional development agencies and the regional S3 plans, but we need to increase that integration and to grow on it, okay? So this is the plan, to have one special week dedicated, fully dedicated to that, okay? And we plan also to reinforce or even create new links with different, as Ilaria said, with different associations at the European level that can help us to reach for better results, better projects, better proposals. So this is the general idea, and now I will stop and give the floor to Ulla Engelmann, that will give us the vision of her unit in the G group. Ulla, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Welcome. Thank again for all your support, and I am now presenting your slides.
Okay, thank you very much. And first of all, let me start by also thanking you because as you explained it, it was a very good cooperation, and this is what we need. It is about working together and helping each other. And I think solidarity is something which is also at the key of what you were doing and which we also want to support. So for us, it was really important to be associated, and also, as you said, to bring the European dimension by helping with our contacts also to others. So not only about our cluster team, but going much further. So that's why let's go quickly. So to the next slide is when the crisis started. I mean, we didn't come from nothing, because cooperation amongst industry cluster is something we have been working on for years. I'm now not going to the slides because the slides will be made available, but this is just to give you an idea that over the past years, we have intensively worked in our European cluster programs on helping this cooperation. Going to the next slide, and we had a kind of, let's say, a home for European cluster partnerships, because we had different kinds of partnerships, be it international, one on smart specialization investment, the one on excellence, and of course, the one on innovation, the InnoSubs. So, and there are other cluster other EU-funded cluster-related projects. So all this together, of course, we have it on the ECCP on the next slide. So this is our European Cluster Collaboration Platform. So this was available, and this is a tool which we have and which we can work, and of course, which we can also adapt according to the needs of the clusters. And due to the good cooperation which we established very quickly and very informally, I must say, at the beginning, we could, the first, as it was also described, work on the lack of medical, particularly on protective gear, and create this forum. So then in the next slide, this for me is, let's say, so the most important one, because I think this is, we were starting from working with clusters, but as you say, it goes much further than only clusters, and fostering collective intelligence. And how this was done, I think you have presented, Ilaria and Antonio, very well the process, but I really want to echo this, because I think it is important, particularly also these daily meetings, because that gives you, let's say, you think about something, you discuss something, but then as it's every day, you can refine it, you can rework it, because the first idea might be good, but it can become much better with the input from the others. And also others transferring this idea to their networks and getting feedback and bringing it back. And I think this, for me, is a real strength and very innovative approach. The forum, okay, that was a basis which we needed because we got so many demands. We were working on specific webinars. I think this was also this proof that it was very relevant. But also we identified specific training needs, and some of them we could take up. And now also looking at the next steps, like linking more science with, no, not next slide, next steps. Linking science with clusters. What we have done already quite well is linking clusters with social economy, but I think also there we can even go further. Bringing different networks together, and I think also something very important, bridging between different policies. And that's why, because as clusters is something very transversal, we need to bring colleagues from, as you said, also from different DGs, but I think we have to foster this even more. And so that's why, for me, it is really this stronger together and this solidarity aspect, which for me is key. Okay, then in the next slide, this just shows what have been done, this industrial cluster response portal. But I think most of you know about it, but it showed also we could react quickly. because we used an existing tool, we managed to transform, we could adapt some contractual arrangements. So it sounds easy, but when you know public administrations, unfortunately, it is not so easy, but I'm very glad that we managed. Then in the next slide, we brought what was in parallel in the commission discussed, the industrial ecosystems, so the 14 ecosystems, where we worked also within our own DG and our colleagues from other DGs on looking on the effect of the crisis on these 14 ecosystems. So how does the crisis affect them? Which one are the worst affected? And then what are the means? What can be done? And that's why then you mentioned it already in the next slide, the EU Rapid Alert function, which was in the roadmap to recovery, where clusters were explicitly mentioned. And this has been presented and will be discussed in more detail. So I will skip the slides and go to the next one, where really we could show the added value, the reinforcing European leadership through clusters, that clusters are these bridge actors, and also clusters can implement innovative proposals. And we have shown this by identifying the disruptions, but also by looking at solutions. It's one thing just say, okay, something doesn't work, but also looking how to fix it. I think that this is an important step. And additionally, the clusters can also see which are critical companies within their clusters on the high-tech or critical know-how, and help also to identify if these companies will get in danger. So I think this is also an important function. Then in the next slide, now we are planning or working on the recovery, and we have sessions towards the end of the week where we'll go more in detail. But just to mention that last week in the European Council, there was a decision on Next Generation EU, the COVID-19 recovery package. And you will see here how the 270 billion package is divided into loans and grants, and in which of the European programs it goes. Then in the next slide, it shows that this is just, let's say, one of the centralized tools we are having, meaning for next year, where we start Euroclusters, the joint cluster initiatives. And this will take into account, on one hand, the work of the 14 ecosystems, and with what we identified via the rapid alert function, like looking at critical infrastructure, critical inputs, critical technologies, and of course, with the aim to help to have a greener, the digital and more resilient transformation. But this is only, let's say, one part of what centralized management, and not so much money compared to what I have shown in the slide before, where the big money goes, meaning to the national reform programs. And that's why it is extremely important that clusters find their place in national reform programs. And that's also what Antonio was discussing for September, and what should be done there. I think finding ways how to connect with the member states and getting clusters into national reform programs is very important. What are other important areas also for the recovery? In the next slide, I just want to highlight the Pact for Skills, because it was mentioned that one of the disruptions, which was already there before, which is a lack of skills. So there is a need for re- and upskilling, and this need will be even reinforced in autumn and next year, when the real effects of the crisis will become even clearer, because then, only then, we will see, because now there is some short-term work, now there are some programs, but the real effects will come a bit later on the economy, and then we will have people being laid off. And so I think it is important to look for ways how to re- and upskill. And that's why this Pact for Skills under the Skills agenda, which was published 1st of July, is very important. And the Pact for Skills has different elements like large-scale partnerships, but clusters for me have to play also an important role in these partnerships, because due to the fact that they reach out to different companies, they might also find ways to help the different companies between each other to deal with layoffs and maybe help to move staff. So we need to think about, I would say, this more new dimension. So this is for me also part of the next steps, something where clusters can play an important role with. Then to the next slide. We just want to highlight that we have on a member state level the timeline for, we have on the member state level an expert group with also experts from the cluster world, like Antonio, who is part of it. And also there, we are working on a paper, and this paper will then be presented also with recommendation. And I think what we are doing in this expert group and what is done here in this group, we have to find ways to build synergies, to build bridges, to bring in the input also to the cluster expert group. And then on the next slide, we want to present what the cluster expert group is doing at our European Cluster Conference 10th and 11th of November. But I think we should also present what you are doing. So we will need to find this. It's also for me a next step, what to do during the European Cluster Conference. But this is just one point during the German presidency, 10th and 11th of November. But as we talk about next steps, it is one of them. And then, yeah, that's it from my side. And I rushed a bit through the slides, but I thought people can look afterwards in more detail. So thank you very much, and particularly big thanks for this great cooperation.
I should repeat the thanks to you, but I will congratulate you and your team, I think, and everyone that is here also, okay? Because we are demonstrating what collaboration is about, okay? So we have near 30 minutes to hear your opinion, contributions, ideas about what can we do in the near future. The floor is open. Who is the first?
Okay, Antonio, I can make a question. If there is no one. Ula, I'd like to.
You are not allowed for
No?
recommendations.
Recommendations, yes, okay.
Yes.
But I'd like to.
We are
I'd like to make a very, very short recommendation about what Ula spoke about, collective intelligence. I enjoy very much this expression because when we speak about collective intelligence, we speak about the way that clusters can have a stronger influence in the community and in the economy. And I think that with this work that you have been doing, Antonio, Ilaria, and all the team, congratulations, a very, very excellent work. I think that the way that the governments and the companies and the universities see the role of clusters can be very, very good. So I would like to make a recommendation that should be interesting after September in each country to have the possibility of having some webinars organized by the National Clusters Alliance or other entities, trying to show what have been done and what kind of results we can have for that. Because if you don't do that, I think that most of the times the time is going and you don't have the idea of what happened.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jaime, for your contributions and your steady presence here and always giving us excellent links to study and to broad our vision of what is happening. So thank you, Jaime. Yes, that is one suggestion that we have received from different countries and clusters, speaking about the possibility to organize or to promote national level meetings. I don't know if in which regularity, but I know that there are some countries that are doing that. Okay, at least monthly, most, and here in Spain we have been meeting near weekly during the crisis. But it will be, and it's a very interesting point to try to organize something and to support those countries that perhaps are not doing yet this kind of national meetings. Ula, do you have any comment on that?
I think this is a very good idea, and because this is the way, because you have something to show. You have proven during the crisis your added value, and I think this to demonstrate this, because reaching out to the national governments, and particularly with the view that they will be drawing up the national programs, that is helpful for them to know that the cover programs is only to build on clusters. So I think this should be, for me, a very high priority, but also in order to better organize or have already established more contacts in other countries. Maybe also like making a little toolkit or something to help those colleagues of yours who do not have this yet. So because with like a standard slide set or a little how you are discussing with your government, who you are talking with, I mean the function, not the person. I think this could be something where you could help. We talk about solidarity, so this could be something where you could also have others to help, or do a little like, let's say, a video, just some minute or 1 minute or so, but where you describe what is being done, and then the colleagues from this country could then help to translate it or use it and speak about what you were saying, because it's of course always a language issue when the national association meet, or be available to be part of it, but then the language issue comes in and it might be more cumbersome. But I think there can be some quick wins, and I think it's an excellent idea.
I really like it. So we could promote national meetings for all across Europe on cluster with their national authorities out this. I really like it. Brilliant. Thank you very much. We are going to work on that. Perfect. More questions, more suggestions, more contributions.
Antonio, I suggest that these national meetings may be as open as this one is, to embrace also associations, companies, etc.
Yeah, we should include
Hello,
that.
Antonio, Alberto here.
Welcome, Alberto.
Hello everybody, and first of all, congrats for all the work. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Go on, please,
Alberto.
Hello.
Yes. So first, I would like to congrats everybody who have more regularly than me and participating, and also for sure the team from the Commission. I really like the proposal from Jaime of extending these meetings to do summaries, wrap up at national level the language issues for sure. Also some an obstacle that in this case will not exist. And my suggestion, my small suggestion to add to this, to Jaime contribution, is try to involve also policymaker in this meeting, because if I'm not going wrong, this I think that not very much policymaker attended at national and regional level to this meeting, and this will be an occasion also to show what cluster have done and to show the potentiality, and of course to involve policymakers in project and implementation of the initiative proposed.
Perfect. Thank you, Alberto. I think that we totally agree with you. Yes, and in fact, it should be the key point on those meetings that we are proposing, because the point is to create the link between cluster and those that are designing and deciding about the national recovery plans. So it should be a key part of the organization of those meetings to have them, at least some representative from them on the meeting. But thank you. And for sure, also thanks to your contribution, Alberto. You have been also a lot with us, and I totally remember your session on so I don't remember. Added value? No.
Shared value.
No, share value.
Sorry.
No, share value.
Value. Thank you very much. Okay. More ideas, more contributions.
Hello, this is José Ramón Sierra from Automotive Cluster from Aragon. Hello, Antonio. I'm a beginner here, so congratulations for these meetings. I follow up some of them, and thank you very much for this work. And my proposal is related to the proposal that we have on the table. I think that we should do the same structure for each country. So if we are replicating this kind of meetings in each country, we should have the same stakeholders, the same procedures to have a better idea setting, or to have to share information in the most efficient way. Like for example, in one manufacturing plant, all meetings are doing in the same way. If we are doing the same in each country, it will be easier to share information between countries.
Perfect. Thank you, José Ramón, and you are right. That could be. We need to think about how to do that. Okay, as Sula said, perhaps we can create one document with recommendation and to think about who to invite to the specific session, or how to reinforce. Yes, but we totally agree. Thank you.
I was thinking about something like this, Antonio.
Perfect. Thank you.
Congrats.
Which may mean also to have the experts groups per country.
That could be a challenge in some yeah, why not? We could think about that. Why not? Yeah, it depends on the size also. Perhaps there are small countries that could have more difficulties, but you are right, Aurora. Thank you.
If an expert group is small in one place, it seeks for help of the other countries, which is fantastic.
Thank you, Aurora. More suggestions, more ideas.
Antonio, if I could.
Go,
Elena.
please.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. From my part, first of all, I would like to thank you, your great team, for the great job and expertise, and particularly for the openness, because this matters very much to us, representatives from countries like Republic of Moldova. And as a recommendation, first of all, I would like to appreciate the correlation, this synergy between several concepts, not only the concept of clusters, which is a key concept, of course, but also another key concept, which is that of social economy and smart specialization. This is very important, that clusters are examined as a means to accomplish and to reach the smart specialization and the social economy, which is very important in conditions of crisis, as you understand. As a recommendation, just because, as I understood, clusters are approached as a means to address disruptions. Yeah, regarding the disruptions, this is important at the level of the European Union economy. It is clear, but as regards countries in the neighborhood, like Republic of Moldova, what is important for us is to address clusters as a means to address the gap between the regions. You see, not only the disruptions, but just the gap in the economic development of the regions, because there are various regions, even in the frame of the European Union. You see, there are regions that are more advanced, other regions that are lagging behind, and this is particularly relevant for Republic of Moldova. I repeat again, just to consider this gap in the economic development and the fact that Moldova, despite its human resources and human capital, although you know that the problem of migration is very pressing in the Republic of Moldova, but still we dispose of human resources, human capital, and we understand how important it is to implement the instrument of clusters. But at the moment, we are not so able to implement this instrument just because the level of economic development is lagging behind. And again, this also implies that, unfortunately, politics is much more influential on the economy of countries like Republic of Moldova. And this is so. Even in case when we economists, we understand what we need to do and we understand how useful might the clusters be, but at the moment we are constrained by the political circumstances, you know. And even that idea of ULA, I appreciated very much the fact that clusters need to be integrated in their national reform plans. But in case of Moldova, what kind of national reform can we speak about when we see such unfavorable political circumstances and the fact that it is not even possible to approach to approach this idea of implementing the clusters in the national policy reform. So I would suggest as a recommendation to approach the capacity of clusters to address not only disruptions, but also the gap in the development of various regions. But again, thank you, and I appreciate very much your great job, indeed great job, and excellent expertise and your openness, which matters very much to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Elena, and thank you because you have been also lately very very high contributor to our ideas. Ula, would you comment, or I could comment also? Okay, but okay, Elena, I think that Ula has some problems with the.
Now it works. Does it work? Yeah.
Yes, now.
Can you hear me? Yeah, because
Yes.
I have some network issues. Fully agree, Elena, that we should not give the impression that clusters are only looking at disruptions. I think this is something we have focused on because it was needed during the crisis, but clusters do much more than this. And I think what you mentioned, that looking at gaps in the regions, in the different economic development, and again, although there clusters can be bridge builders, and that's why also what is foreseen in September to link it to the smart specialization and to have the smart specialization week, and by bringing in regional authorities, this is what we are aiming at. And you're absolutely right, this is needed. It's a very strong part we need, and there we are particularly lucky that we can build on also Marek's competence, who was many years in DG Regio and who now joined the cluster team. So we have an excellent asset there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Really, we are lucky having Marek with us, and we are going to work a lot on that regional aspects. So,
Elena, if I can
for sure, Marek,
because this is linked with something which is neighborhood policy and Eastern Partnership, particularly for Moldova. And there are, of course, our colleagues from DG NEAR who are working on this. But definitely, if I can recommend to Elena, this is like we work on smart specialization in Ukraine as well. This is slowly making awareness of the authorities you have in your country of existence of clusters and the concept of smart specialization on daily basis. So of course it will not happen immediately. In Ukraine they've been working for 3 years now on this, but there's a big progress. I think there's no clear recipe, but we need to take it into consideration. We have in Europe the countries and member states where cluster policy has been for years and very strong, like in Baden-Württemberg and Lombardy. We have in Europe as well, in the European Union, the member states which are developing clusters, particularly the ones which joined the European Union in 2004. They are still in progress, and then of course this enhances the concepts of clusters, collaborations, and smart specialization to the neighborhood policy, with Moldova being one of the countries in Eastern Partnership. So I would only encourage you to work on this on daily basis, and putting this to policymakers. Sooner or later that it will appear and will find the place in your policies as well. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Marek. Okay, we have time for one last suggestion, I think, or question. Who is the last? I am sure that there are people that wants to speak. Lucia, I see that you have the mic activated. Huh?
Antonio, I can add a very short consideration about all the other contribution. Also, for me, it's really interesting the collective intelligence concept, because we are saying that this process we are investing on and we created is essential, a sort of innovation infrastructure, a resilience infrastructure. So it seems that we cannot do without in the future. And I totally agree in trying to being more pervasive in all the nation and all the member states with the national infrastructure in this way. So with this approach of collective intelligence, because we know that it's an intangible assets, so difficult to measure, but this is this uncountable infrastructure that counts. So it's really important to go on this way.
Thank you, Ilaria.
Thank you.
Totally agree. Lucia, I saw you in the video. Do you want to have the 1 minute for you? No? Okay. So I think that we can say that today, as always, has been a very productive session. I think we need to think about how to transfer this dynamic to the countries. It will be really grow. If we do it, it means that we are growing and being stronger and reaching better our interlocutors, our agents. So it's a wonderful challenge for the next period. So thank you very much for your contribution, and we will continue speaking about it tomorrow. Okay, so if you think about new proposals, don't hesitate to join us tomorrow and to contribute with your ideas. Thank you, Ula. Thank you, Ilaria. Congratulations for the work that you are doing and how you are contributing to our alliance, common alliance. It's an alliance of everyone here. And see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Bravi.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.